We have been talking about relevance since Monday, and we've talked about how it is very important for you to be in with the times, even with your amazing ideas, to be in with the time, for you to be able to resonate with the times today. We talked about companies that have fallen, governments that have fallen, leaders that have fallen because they did not keep with the time. And today, Dr. Wale Akinyemi is here with us to continue this conversation with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are
I am fantastic. I thought we had an agreement, Dr. Wale.
No, you see, they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I looked for yellow, and this was not yellow. Won't you be scared if I came in a bright shirt?
We're going to say that whatever you're wearing is yellow in your eyes.
No, 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 no. Let's have out on this.
You know what? Let's just get to the conversation today. We're talking about the value of the circle. And what does that even mean?
The circle of value. Let me lay the foundation by saying there's a famous 1932 painting by Pablo Picasso featuring his mistress. And that painting was sold in 2010 for $106 million. Now, I once projected this painting on a screen when I was having a training with some people, and I asked them how much they would pay for this training. I didn't tell them how much it was. I asked how much they would pay for it. Somebody said 100 shillings. Somebody said 500 shillings. The highest I got was 2,000 shillings. Okay. Now, why would they offer to pay so little, 2,000 shillings, for something that was $106 million? It's because it's not enough to be valuable. Your value must be appreciated for it to be relevant. There are different.
Dr. Wale, I think we lost you for a second there. This conversation was going really well. There you go. You're back.
Yeah. All right. I said there are different genres of. I asked, why would somebody offer to pay 2,000 shillings for something that was $106 million? It's because it's not enough to be valuable. Your value must be appreciated for it to be relevant. I said there are different genres of music. Each one has a following: classical, opera, jazz, hip hop, many more. Each has a following, but the disaster happens when a rock musician is trying to parade his gift in front of a classical music enthusiast. People who do not appreciate what you have will never see you as relevant, even if you are gifted or intelligent. Jesus said, "You are the salt of the earth." Salt has no value on its own. Its value is intrinsic. That's why you would never hear of having a meal of roasted salt or boiled salt. Salt is a seasoning, and no one has a meal of a seasoning. The value of salt comes out when it is added to something. Now, if Jesus says we are the salt of the earth, implying our value as people will come out when we give ourselves to bring in solutions to the world. The very, very definition of the word relevance tells us that it has to be connected to something. You cannot be a standalone relevant person. Your relevance is measured by the value you add and never by your opinion of yourself. So that leads to what we now call the circle of value. It's a two-way flow of value comprising of an inward and an outward flow. The inward flow of value is what is added to you. It comes through reading, through associations that stimulates thought, and through exposure. Whenever I'm learning something new, I'm adding to my value. However, the key lies in my conversion power. How well am I able to convert what I am learning to real solutions for real issues? And that is the gap between the intelligent and the relevant. Now, the outward flow is made up of the value that I bring to the table. And the table may be a time in history, the table may be family, your community, your place of work, your nation, whatever you're part of. But you need to be constantly alert to evaluate if your circle of value is shrinking or if it is expanding. If shrinking, it means people who value your intelligence or your skills are diminishing in number. If expanding, it means people who value what you have are increasing in number. In the book, How to Get Rich by Donald Trump, he talked about an encounter with a man called William Levitt, who was a real estate developer who was credited to be the pioneer of the modern home development model of building estates and homes for the middle class. He was Time magazine, named as one of the most influential figures of the 20th century. Now he got to a point, very successful, sold his business, sold everything, married a new wife, went to France. Couple of 20 years later, he came back and tried to get in the game. And it is written that he was at a party and nobody paid attention to him. Nobody paid attention to him. Why? It wasn't the same. His circle of value had shrunk. Now, when your circle of value shrinks, your ideas no longer matter and your voice is no longer sought after. And this is so important because, yes, in leadership, we work very hard, succession, so that even if we're not there, things go on in leadership. Absolutely. But we must continually pause as individuals to evaluate the net impact of our absence. If your presence does not make a difference, if your absence does not make a difference, was your presence necessary? Your life will be measured by impact and not by presence. What's the point in being present if your presence is not making a difference? So the difference you make is the yardstick for measuring your relevance. Never forget you are the salt. Your relevance comes from the value you bring. And the value you bring will come from the quality of your ideas. When your inward flow increases, when you are constantly building capacity to solve today's problems, then you will be strategically positioned to expand the outward flow. And as long as your circle of value is expanding, you can never become irrelevant. It is said that Henry Ford once asked his team what their next big thing was going to be. And he said if he had asked them, rather, they would have told him the next big thing was to find a way to make horses go faster. Definitely not the production of cars. So the big takeout from that is it's not enough to have ideas. Your ideas must be relevant. But relevance is the process of aligning your senses to present day realities. Many people don't have that alignment in place. And once the ideas are no more resonating with people, your circle of value begins to shrink. And once that happens, relevance is over. Now, the truth is, most great ideas are rejected by experts at the onset. But one common attribute of great ideas is their ability to gain traction against all odds and against the opinions of the experts. A very good case study that everybody can, remember and relate with is Donald Trump. All right? Very, very, very good case study. First, people were shocked that he actually did win in 2016, and even more shocked that today he's the kingmaker of the Republican Party and got the record number of votes he got. All right? Why is he so popular in spite of the scandals? Why are the people who called Bill Clinton the devil calling Donald Trump the savior? Now, when he was hosting the show Apprentice, I bought all his books, and it was interesting. His message has not changed. His message then was, if America is a ship, it's headed for an iceberg. And he blamed America's impending doom on the fact that there's huge social security bill, which the government will never be able to pay. And he told people, when you get old, there's no money to look after you. He said the key to fixing this, bring jobs back to America so Americans can generate more jobs internally. He said illegal immigration is putting weight on the system, so immigration has to be fixed. He said past administrations have entered into agreements that were hurting America, so it has to be America first. Now, listen, number of Americans, to a significant number of Americans, that message was relevant and it resonated strongly enough to bypass his shortcomings. And that's the power of relevance. Very few things as powerful as an idea that resonates. When placed against each other, relevance will always triumph over logic and over intelligence. His opponents brought very intelligent arguments in a very intelligent manner, but Trump just continued talking about, I'm the only one that can fix America, and he connected with his people. So let me round this up by saying there would have been no Trump if the good guys of politics in America had their ears to the ground and were in touch with the voices and expectations of the people. So Trump is a creation of irrelevant leadership of the past. And that's a wave we have seen all over in the Philippines, even in the United Kingdom, in different places, a wave of populism. So listen, we live in an age where you do not win by rolling out data for the sake of showing you have data. You may have all the data and statistics. It does not make you relevant. Relevance is about being able to use the data to tell stories that resonate with the hearts and minds of the people. We should always remember that data, when we get it, it will show us what to say, who to say it to, how to say it, because a relevant fool will always triumph over an irrelevant genius. So evaluate yourself. If your circle of influence or your circle of value is shrinking, it may be time to reimagine yourself. Next week, we're going to look at what I call timeless brands, brands that are over 100 years old. We will see how they stayed relevant. I will even give you a case study of a hotel that has been in existence since the year 750 AD, and it is still relevant today. So if we understand how the timeless brand did it, we can do it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this, because you just didn't tell us what the problem is, but you also told us that what we need to do when you realize that our circle is shrinking and that we're losing our relevance, that there's still hope for that. And I think this spills into the rebranding that is going to be happening next week with you. But before I let you go, yes, I'd like to...
That's why when we look at the timeless brands, we will look at what they did to remain relevant. I mean, they've gone through the Spanish flu, they've gone through every pandemic that has ever existed on earth. They're still standing. So we are going to use them next week, those timeless brands, as a case study, and we are going to see what they did, how they did it, and we're now going to see how to apply that to the personal brand, the brand called you.
Thank you so much, Wale. Our time has run up. I just want to mention our winners today. Emily Gaki, you made a comment on Facebook. That is a Street University on Facebook. And Masi Naomi, you also made a comment on Twitter. That is Wale Akinyemi's handle on Twitter. So you were there. And tomorrow you get a book. That is Secrets of the Billionaire Within. And if you're not one of the winners, please just go on to Nuria Books and you will get yourself a copy as well. We're taking a very short commercial break. We will be right back. Thank you, Dr. Wale. See you next week.